Okay, so we all had to learn basic geometry in school, right? But I can pretty much guarantee you never learned it quite like this. Today, we're going to unpack a real, honest-to-goodness lesson plan that takes the area of a triangle and uses it to teach students about ancient Israel. Yeah, you heard that right.
And here it is, the classic formula for the area of a triangle. You know the one. Area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. We all probably had to memorize this back in middle school. It's super simple, clean, and it's one of those bedrock math concepts that pops up everywhere. Seems pretty straightforward, but maybe not.
So here's where it gets wild. What on earth could this simple formula possibly have to do with King David from the Bible? I know, it sounds completely random, right? But believe it or not, that's the connection we're going to unravel today. Okay, let's dive in and see how this curriculum actually pulls off this very unexpected connection.
So, where is this all coming from? Well, believe it or not, our source for this whole thing is a real 6th grade math lesson. Seriously, this isn't some kind of thought experiment. It's an actual curriculum that was designed to teach geometry by using stories from the Bible.
And you know, the lesson's objectives really tell the whole story. First up, sure, learn the triangle area formula. Okay, that makes sense. But then it just gets wild. Explore how triangles were used in the Bible. Connect math to stories of King David, and understand the importance of stability and precision. You can already tell this is about way more than just math.
So how do they actually pull it off? Well, let's walk through the 3 main word problems that students are given in this lesson.
Okay, first up, the students are told to imagine King David himself, out there laying stones for a new monument in a big triangular pattern. It's actually a pretty clever way to take an abstract formula and turn it into a story you can actually picture.
So, the problem gives them the numbers, a base of 10 meters and a height of 5 meters. The students just have to plug those right into the formula. So that's 1/2 times 10 times 5.
And voila, you get the answer, 25 square meters. Pretty simple, right? 1 biblical math problem down, 2 to go.
All right, for the next one, the scene shifts completely. Now we're on the battlefield. The students have to calculate the area of a triangular banner on a warrior's shield. This time, the base is 8 meters and the height is 3 meters. You know the drill. Same formula, just a different story.
And that gives you an answer of 12 square meters. Easy.
And for the third and final problem, we're moving from the battlefield to a sacred structure. The students are looking at a triangular tent flap on the tabernacle, one that was supposedly designed for airflow. Okay, so with a base of 6 meters and a height of 7 meters, the calculation is going to give us our final area of 21 square meters. So, okay, after 3 of these story-based problems, you can bet the students know that formula inside and out. But now we get to the real point of the whole lesson.
Right, so the math itself is pretty basic, but this is the exact moment where the lesson pivots. It moves away from the how-to and gets into the why. Because this was never just about calculation. It was all about teaching what they call a big idea.
And the lesson makes a really interesting leap here. It connects the physical strength of a triangle as a shape to the character of King David. The curriculum literally says that knowing the math helps you build with stability and precision, and then it argues that this is exactly how David planned and prepared for all of his challenges.
So let's just break that down for a second. The lesson is building a 3-part connection. 1. Triangles equal strength. 2. Math equals precision. And 3. David is our model for careful planning. The whole point is to weave these 3 separate ideas into one single concept. But wait, there's more. It actually goes one step further. It takes that whole combination, the structural strength and the mathematical skill, and links it to an even bigger idea, wisdom and character.
And to really nail this point home, the lesson brings in a Bible verse of the day. It's a quote that highlights David's integrity of heart and his skillful hands. And boom, right there, that's the core argument of the whole curriculum. The math, the geometry, that's the skillful hands part. It's being presented as the hands-on, practical application of a moral virtue.
And that really is the ultimate goal here. This lesson, when you get right down to it, isn't really about triangles at all. It's about framing mathematical skill as a foundation, a building block for something much bigger, things like integrity, wisdom, and leadership.
So what we're looking at is a pretty powerful example of how you can embed a technical skill inside a much larger narrative.
And it leaves us with a really interesting question to think about, doesn't it? How does the story we wrap around a concept, whether it's math or science or anything else, change not just how we learn it, but what that knowledge actually comes to mean to us?